It is common for those accustomed to synthetic foods to be repulsed by eating an animal carcass. Remember that humans survived this way for millennia. You can too.
But we're not gonna do that. In today's Subnautica challenge, Riley is afraid of organic contamination in all the food on 4546B due to the crash, so therefore he will not be eating a single piece of food, not even the synthetically created nutrient blocks. The only thing he's going to have is water. And in this run, Riley is a pacifist, so he will not be harming any living creature. The most important thing to do in a run like this is rush making a base, which means you need to rush getting silver, and that can be a little problematic without dive equipment upgrades. While your first thought is probably thinking about the food restriction and how you're going to take damage, your real priority in the beginning of this should actually be getting water. A reliable source of water, given the restrictions that I've placed in this challenge, is the first major hurdle that I have to overcome. To do this, I decided to rush the water filtration machine, and that's even a bit of a challenge by itself. The water filtration machine is more of a mid to late game item for your base, and it also requires a multi-purpose room. So I have to not only worry about getting the habitat builder, but all the equipment that it's going to take for me to get a multi-purpose room, and finding a water filtration machine too. There is an alternative option to this though. I don't have to rush a water filtration machine if I don't want to. I can instead go look for a coffee vending machine because that will give you a little bit of water when you use it, and those are really cheap and easy to fit in a small base, so you can easily have multiple machines and help you fill up on water. The problem is, at some point I will need the water filtration machine because I can't have my inventory be full of coffee. And to be completely honest, I kinda forgot about the coffee vending machine, which is really sad because in my first playthrough of this game ever, coffee was a staple for me for a long time until I got a reliable source of water. I'm sorry, coffee vending machine, this was the run for you and I completely blew it. The most important vehicle in this entire run is going to be the Seaglide, because without the Seaglide I'm not going to be able to get around the map very quickly, and it's the cheapest and earliest vehicle you can get. Everything else is going to take a lot of time to make, and that is time I can't afford. No. Once I got the habitat builder and the Seaglide, my first thought was, where do I want to make my base? And I'm thinking for this run, I actually want to approach from the northern part of the map instead of the southern part of the map like I normally do, because in my opinion, the entrance point to the Lost River from the bulb zone is the best way to get into the endgame if you're trying to rush that. At this point, I am now starving, so roughly every 7 seconds or so, I'm going to be taking 10 points of damage. And the only way to get around that is by using medkits. So I built my base over by the quarantine enforcement platform because there is a nice little patch of creep vine there for me to harvest and turn into first aid kits until I can get properly set up with medical kit fabricators. I make a point in getting exterior grow beds because I want to be able to grow creep vine when I start running out. If I don't have to swim very far, that means getting medkits much faster. And since I'm on the floating island, I might as well make a point of getting the multi-purpose room so that I have that and can start building my base properly. Unfortunately, I misjudged how long this trip was actually going to take, and I don't make it back to my new base I just built. And while I do make it to the base, I don't have Creepvine on me, and the time it takes for me to grab Creepvine and try to get back to my base to make a medkit is just not enough. If I had one more medkit, this run would have survived. After losing the first run, I realized my problem was traveling too far away from my life pod too early on. I need to stick close to it and farm the areas closest to me and not worry about getting to the islands quite yet. The grassy plateaus is a great way to get silver. There's tons of sandstone here, so I farmed this for a while when a thought hits me. I should go ahead and go get gel sacks from the nearby sparse reef, because that's going to be required to make aerogel for the water filtration machine. Rubies and gel sacks acquired, I go ahead and head back up to the surface of the sparse reef when I start taking starvation damage. The timer has once again started. I have to start farming for medkits and worrying about my health at all times, and I still don't have a multi-purpose room or the water filtration machine itself. The base I have built for this is directly underneath the life pod, and there's a reason for this that I completely forgot about in the last run. The life pod has a medical kit fabricator. Now, one medkit fabricator doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not. You're gonna have to farm creepvine for a while at this stage, but it does help. Since you need 2 creepvine cuttings to make 1 fiber mesh, which makes 1 medkit, you need 8 inventory slots in order to make 1 medkit. And while that doesn't sound like a problem since you're going to be filling up on creepvine anyway, the more medkits that you have on you, the less likely you're going to be able to pick up all that extra creepvine. And that means more trips out to the kelp forest, which is going to cause you to take more health damage, and all of this is just you trying to make medkits. It's way less efficient than trying to have them from medical kit fabricators, and since the life pod has one, we're going to use it. It's also nice to have your base next to your life pod because with the second fabricator, you essentially have doubled your power and are able to spend more time making health kits and not having to worry about power constraints. After farming all night, the next day I go ahead and head over to the Jelly Shroom Cave. I don't know why I didn't think about this in the last run, but they have a water filtration machine down in Jelly Shroom Cave, and that requires a multi-purpose room, which means you can just get both blueprints from here and not have to go to the islands yet, saving you a lot of time. And that's really crucial because my water is now dangerously low, and that means I'm going to start taking double the damage. The starvation challenge requires a lot of multitasking. You have to think not just about the oxygen and how long it's going to take you to get to the surface from where you're at, but also monitoring your health, making sure that you have medkits, and making sure that you're not going to die if something attacks you when you're low on health. The timing of everything here is really critical. I need to have the water filtration machine working, and it's going to work for a long time before I get my first water bottle. That means I'm now going to be managing a 20 HP health loss every 7 seconds instead of 10, and that's a lot to work on when you have to go cut creepvine to make most of the medkits that you have. Also, another consideration is the water filtration machine is going to take a lot of power, and right now I'm just subsisting off of solar panels. Solar panels are not really a problem, but you need a lot of them if you're going to have a water filtration machine run even through the night and help you get your water as soon as possible. There are a few moments in this run that make me actually terrified. I don't want to lose all the progress that I've made so far, but it really is a lot to juggle. Your health draining at double the rate, meaning you have to have more medkits, you have to go farm for those medkits, but you also have to be worried about your base's power levels and your life pod's power levels, because if you can't make the medkits because you're out of power, then that's really going to mess you up. And, God forbid, since you're running on solar power, that it turns nighttime. There's a very complex order of operations that my brain is trying to process right now, trying to figure out what is important, what do I need? Can I sacrifice a little bit of health? How long will it take me to find this resource? What if I don't find this resource? Am I going to make it? There's so much happening, and if you think this is anxiety-inducing, it is. But it's during these panic moments where you can often have some of your best breakthroughs. There's a mechanic in this game that I've completely forgotten about until now: sitting in a chair. Normally, when you have food and water, sitting in a chair will stop that drain, and you can wait out the night that way if you want to. I don't know if this is going to work, but it's worth a shot rather than swimming back and forth all night. Wait for it. Wait for it. No, it seems to be working. Oh my god, I was not expecting that. Sitting in a chair will prevent you from taking dehydration and starvation damage. I never would have guessed that. After waiting for a while, I realized my water filtration machine hasn't been making me any water, so I get up to stand, and that's when it immediately makes the next water bottle. So there seems to be something to do with time also when sitting. It won't actually let the machine finish its process until after you're standing up, which is really weird. But for good news, I finally have a water source that is clean and pure for this challenge. Now I can focus on getting health kits and only taking 10 points of damage instead of 20. Now, somebody out there is probably thinking, well, what about other water bottles that you find in wrecks? There are some scattered around the map. You could go grab those, and then water wouldn't be as much of an issue. And that's true. But the problem is, I don't know what crates in what wrecks in which biomes have water. And it's not worth the risk to go all the way out there to investigate when you can just wait for your own water source. And also, the Aurora has not yet exploded at this point, so I can't just go loot the ones on the Aurora. Well, speak of the devil. But even still, I still don't have a laser cutter or propulsion cannon, so I'm not gonna get very far if I go there right now. But as soon as I have those, I guess there is a new place I could go to get some water bottles that would fit this challenge. A lot of the remaining time here is sitting and waiting for water to be made, and in between water being made, occasionally I head out and grab a couple things, like the exterior grow beds, or trying to grow the gel sacks and acid mushrooms, so that I have all the resources I need. I also at this point have 4 medical kit fabricators in addition to the one on the life pod, so I'm getting 5 med kits every few minutes, which is pretty nice for this challenge. All this resource gathering for the medical kit fabricators has given me a ton of extras to work with, so I start moving my base to the north again. Remember, Bulb Zone seems to be the best place for me, so I'm building somewhere over here by the quarantine enforcement platform, because that should be fairly close. So now I just have to make many trips back and forth between bases to carry things over. And every time I go back and forth, I'm also grabbing every resource node I can and slowly expanding the base. We're now up to 6, almost 7 medical kit fabricators, and enough table coral to last me for quite a long time, if not the rest of the game at this point. And whenever I need a break from this, I sit in the gamer chair for a while and just stare at the medical kit fabricators. I have the radiation suit now, and I think it's time for me to go explore the Aurora. I have my laser cutter and my repair tool and everything I think I need to get that taken care of and remove the radiation. That'll make getting to and from the bulb zone much easier. On my way over to the Aurora, I decided to stop by Life Pod 4. It's pretty much right there anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop in here and grab the creature decoy. I don't really use this thing ever, and I feel bad for not using it, so I kind of want to try it out in this run if need be. Hopefully I'm not getting super dangerously close to any leviathans that I really need to worry about that. But who knows, it could be nice to have. Also over here by the Aurora is a great haul of scrap, which is awesome for building bases and everything else I'm gonna need for the end game. As I swim around, I also find the propulsion cannon fragments, which I think I'm gonna make this time. I don't usually need it when I explore the Aurora, but I think I'm gonna try to play it safe. Propulsion cannon will make it easier for me to get into the deeper parts of the Aurora, so I don't have to risk taking damage. Speaking of damage, my health is going down, so I'm gonna go ahead and have a health pack and everything should be okay. And look, a power transmitter fragment. I could have used that in one of my challenges. So I guess we're gonna head over here and... oh, it's getting kind of dark. Eclipse? Not eclipse, not eclipse. Not eclipse. Oh, God. Okay, so... yeah, oxygen is a stat I also need to look at. Well, here's hoping I learn from my mistakes this time around. Okay, take it back now. We're down here, and we got the multi-purpose room, we got the water filtration machine, and on our way up, we even got a bioreactor this time. Same thing as last time, there's a lot of sitting around and waiting for things to happen, like medkits being made or water being filtered. But this time around, it is a little bit less stressful because of the chair trick. At this point, though, I decided to move my base over to the crash zone by the Aurora. You know, the safe area that's not full of Reaper Leviathans. This is about as far north as I can go before I actually have to start setting up in the bulb zone. And I don't really want to do that because I still think I'm gonna depend on solar power, since I don't want to have to worry about farming plants and using bioreactors and all that other stuff. I just want to have a nice constant source of power. And if you have a lot of solar panels, well then, you don't really have to worry about power at all. Well, after wasting about 6 hours of my life getting back to where I was before I forgot to breathe, we're finally back, and this time a little bit better than before. We have 8 medical kit fabricators now. Well, now it's time to do the first real dangerous thing we've done in the entire run. Go to the Aurora, which really isn't a problem unless Sammy here decides that he doesn't want to cooperate and wants to eat my toes. He's usually cool, but he's really actually kind of scarily close right now, and I don't like that. Please go away. You know, I never really make the propulsion cannon anymore these days, but I forgot how much fun it is to actually use this thing. And also, I never go through this entrance of the Aurora. I always go up top because you can get through the Aurora a little bit faster and earlier that way if you do that. So this is kind of cool. It's been nice and refreshing to actually be able to use some tools I don't normally use. And here's the first problem I run into. I need a laser cutter, and I don't have that in this run. I had it in my last runs, but not this one. Propulsion cannon. Well, I can't explore the entire Aurora, but I can fix the drive core, which will help me not have to worry about the radiation anymore and not have to swap to the rebreather every time I want to go get deeper resources. Alright, Sammy, I'm gonna need you to be good again. Please do not eat me. I really don't want to do that. In fact, let's go ahead and heal so that I don't have to deal with you. And, yeah, wow, actually, wow. My base is much, much closer than I thought to him. I'm not sure I like that, but I don't really want to move it. He probably won't come over here, right? Alright, skipping ahead, we went back to the Aurora with a laser cutter, cleaned that out, and gathered more and more resources and some blueprints for things like the ultra-high capacity tank for our character. Next up on the agenda is to get the reinforced dive suit, because if I'm going to be going to the active lava zone, I need heat protection. And thankfully, the data chip for the reinforced dive suit, at least the one that I usually go for, is in the bulb zone, at a wreckage not too far away. So, once we make this air tank, we'll go over there and do that. I really like the bulb zone. It's a little eerie and hostile to the player character, but it is a unique biome like the crag field. There's just nothing quite like it in the game, and sometimes I like to make bases out here, I just can't stand the ampules. The reinforced dive suit fragment here is actually down an air shaft, so it can be a little hard for me to remember where to go. I've gotten lost here before because you emerge from the floor, which is not something that I expect. Thankfully this time though, I didn't get lost, so we need to go back to base and make this thing as soon as possible. Having extra defense, even from the hostile creatures, is nice, and will be especially nice if I run into any big bads when I go deep. Also, don't forget to pick up a bulb sample, because you're gonna need that for the hatching enzymes at the end of the game. So for this run specifically, I'm gonna go ahead and make the Cyclops so that I can use the onboard fabricator there to make the shield generator so that I can escape the planet. There's not really a reason to do this. The all-in-one fabricator is a great mod so that you can bypass this, but you know, this time around, since this is a hardcore run, I figured I might as well make it as difficult as possible so that I can say I did it with 100% certainty and don't feel guilty about skipping any of the normal requirements. Now, because I can't use the prawn suit in this run, ion cubes and alien tablets by extension are really valuable. I don't want to be using any of them unless I absolutely know that it's worth it, because it costs ion cubes to make more alien tablets, and I can't get an infinite supply of those without the prawn suit. And I'm trying to avoid having to cover the map just to go get more ion cubes. And a lot of those ion cubes across the map are locked behind a door which requires an alien tablet. You can kind of see the problem here. So, you need 2 purple tablets when you go down deep, 1 to open up the way to the blue tablet, and 1 to open up the way to the ion power facility so that you can make the ion power cells that you need for the Neptune rocket. The only reason why I mention all this is to explain why I'm at the quarantine enforcement platform right now, and that's to pick up those resources, because I know I need them down deeper. Also, just to kind of put a timestamp on things, in case you're wondering how far we are in the game, we are about halfway through episode 6 of what I've dubbed Subnautica, which is 2 hours long. So we spent 7 hours in real time trying to get to this point. I can't really tell you if that's good or bad because I don't usually pay attention to hour counts when I do stuff like this, but I feel like that's pretty good for no vehicles other than the Seaglide and having to wait around a lot for medkits to be prepared. Surprisingly, I remember the way over to the Bulb Zone Lost River entrance. I've only really used this thing like 2 or 3 times, and I didn't think I would actually know where it was, But I kind of just trusted my gut, and suddenly I found it. So that's really cool, and I brought a beacon with me to make sure I'm marking that. This is more of a trial run to see if I can actually get down into the Lost River with my Seaglide, or if I'm going to have some sort of way of recovering air. It looks like I can make it to the bottom of the entrance, but I'm going to need a more reliable air source once I get down to this point. So for now, we're just going to drop the beacon and head back to base. Alright, I'm back now with components for a mini base. This is something that I'm going to have to get used to. Making multi-purpose rooms with a hatch and a bioreactor so that I can have air. These little bases can actually be kind of nice. If I get some grow beds, I can make some more health kits so that I don't have to worry about running out while I'm down here since Creepvine doesn't exist. But there is something I need to be careful of. I need to make sure I don't starve to death. Like I literally am about to right now. Honestly, this is way, way closer than it should have been. I don't know how I forgot that I was going to need to check my health. I've been doing it this entire run. And I got to... what was that? 2 HP just now? That is way too close. I can't afford to be making mistakes 7 hours into the run. Well, I'm back now with some medkits and probably some adrenaline in my brain, because that really terrified me. But the show must go on. Let's press into the Lost River. Now, as far as I remember, this entrance to the lava zone that I'm thinking of is actually not too far in. I think it's just over one of the first crests as you enter in here, which makes it a really nice run, and I think I can make it in there with the amount of air that I have to get down there. I don't think I'm going to make it all the way to the lava castle where I'm trying to go, but I think I can go pretty far. Make sure we top up on health, as always. And actually, this might be a little bit further than I thought. I guess it's time to prepare some more base pieces so that I can have another base in the Lost River. Hopefully, that's the only other one that I'm going to need, because making these things and transporting all the materials actually takes a lot of inventory space, which is kind of preoccupied right now by all the medkits I'm keeping on me. And it just occurred to me, I still don't have my reinforced dive suit that I went and got. And also, I don't have any deep shrooms. I think this is because I didn't want to travel all the way across the map to find some. I probably should have gotten them when I got the gel sacks for the water filtration machine, but I guess I'm running over to the northern blood kelp zone this time to go get them. Now I don't have to make a long trip like that for quite a while. Just kidding, because you know what the reinforced dive suit needs? Synthetic fibers. And you know what you need for that? Benzene. And you know what I happen to be missing that I didn't grab and I was just over here? Blood oil. So back to the northern blood kelp we go. And God, I hate the look of this place. It really does simulate 7 of the 9 preconditions for terror in humans. Okay, so reinforced dive suit acquired. Second base for lava access acquired. Lots of health packs, yes. I think we're finally ready to go into the lava zone. And by ready, I mean not ready at all, and I'm just psyching myself out here. There is actually no way to prevent instant death from a sea dragon eating me. And better yet, with a juvenile ghost leviathan guarding this, if I happen to be low health for any reason, there's a good chance that he just ends my days. I don't really like this, but this is the fastest way, and if I tried to go the other way into the lava zone, it would be even worse. And you know, now that I'm down here all nice and alone with a sea dragon in sight, I am realizing I don't have the air to make it to the lava castle safely. And God forbid I lose everything that I've worked for so far. I'm not making a dumb mistake. I'm coming back with another base. Well, now that I'm feeling 0% better about this, let's go ahead and charge on forward. I don't see... Incorrect. I do see the Sea Dragon Leviathan. And we are not leaving quite yet. He needs to go somewhere not here. Well, it's been a little bit now. I'm assuming he's gone somewhere. I'll just... Oh my god. I don't think he's coming this way. He might be phased into the wall, though. I don't really know, but I'm this far already, so I guess we just book it. It's better to hang low and just pray that he's not coming this way, but every single second I am checking behind me to make sure that I'm not going to get flanked. Sea dragons are surprisingly stealthy despite how loud they are, and they can sneak up on you at any moment. But thankfully, my base is not far at all from the lava castle entrance, and once I'm in here, I can take a little bit of a breather. I still need to actually take a breather by getting somewhere with oxygen, but the sea dragon can't reach me, and this feels so much better. And yes, I have my ion cubes, so I'll be able to teleport out of here back to the surface. This is one of the major steps that's done. Having just completed one of the most intense runs in this entire challenge, I decided it was time for me to take a small break and go get some materials I'm gonna need for the Neptune rocket. The Neptune rocket requires ion power cells, which require ion cubes, which I do not have any of at the moment. Thankfully, there's an alien research facility that needs an orange tablet by the Deep Grand Reef Degassi base, and they have a free orange tablet right there. I don't know how many ion cubes I'm gonna get from this alien site, but I hope that it's enough for what I need. I just need to make a base for air, and... oh no. Oh no, that's not good. I need to go up right now. I refuse to fail another challenge because I didn't breathe in time. This is not happening. Okay, that really wasn't as close as I thought it was going to be. But trust me, I've gotten lost in that cave before, and I really was afraid that I was going to ruin this entire run because I was dumb and didn't pay attention to my pinned base things I needed on the right side of my screen. As it would turn out, I would need another base over by the skull in the Lost River, because there's not an air pocket in that alien sanctuary like I thought there was. I wasn't sure, so I tested it in creative mode on a separate game file and realized that there was no way I was going to make it in there and back. So I swam all the way back to my other base, grabbed more materials, and made another air base here. This is just tedious at this point, because if I misjudge any distances, I have to then wait for medkits every time because the journey takes so long to get over here since I live on the other side of the map. And that is including me warping from island to island using alien gates. Well, I've got some good news and bad news. The good news is, I successfully retrieved the 3 ion cubes that are in that sanctuary. The bad news is, 3 ion cubes would turn out to not be enough to do what I need to do for the Neptune rocket and to beat the game. So unfortunately, that means that I'm gonna have to find more ion cubes somewhere. My knowledge of all the secret little alien sanctuaries is actually pretty limited because I don't go to them very often, but this is a problem for future me. Current me thinks this is a done deal, that all I need to do is just get to the final alien containment facility and I'll be all set. I take a breather and wait for some more medkits, and then I make it back all the way to my lava base. I could have warped all the way back to the lava castle if I wanted to, but I figured approaching from this side was much safer because I don't know where the sea dragon is, and this should be less distance I have to cover if I approach from this base. I gotta be honest though, I have no idea, and this is the final run that I should have to do in front of sea dragons. And if I fail, this whole run is over. Over 15 hours of gameplay at this point will just end if I mess up. Here goes nothing.
want to help you.
Oh, good RNG on the Sea Dragon. Oh, good RNG on the Sea Dragon. Wow. With the worst run of the entire game over with now, all I have to do is get the hatching enzymes, cure myself, and get all the parts I need for the Neptune rocket. During my entire playthrough, I gathered all the other materials I needed for the hatching enzymes, and there's not really a reason to have a grow bed that grows these things, but I thought they look really cool together, and I like having that. It's a shame though that you can't grow the tree mushroom, but I kinda understand why. After curing myself of the infection, I immediately get to work on the Neptune rocket. Or I would, but instead first I have to make the Cyclops so that I can use the fabricator for the shield generator. So that's the very first thing I make, followed by the Neptune rocket launch platform. The gantry is pretty easy, so that gets built next. But for the Neptune boosters, I need to have nickel, and apparently I just never bothered to look for it or grab any. So I'm going all the way back to my base marked lava entrance because I think that should be deep enough into the Lost River for me to find some. But despite my best efforts of searching this area, it appears that there is no nickel that I can easily grab, at least that I could see. I'm not saying there's none at all, it's just really not easy to find nickel, especially when you're having to dodge a ghost leviathan all the time. I'm sure there's some in the river parts itself, but that stuff hurts, and I am not going to risk taking damage from that in addition to my normal damage. Well, since I'm not having any luck, I decided to head down into the lava zone. I figure I know that there's nickel down there, I've seen it before, and I wouldn't have to dodge the ghost leviathan, and since the sea dragon's been so kind lately, I don't think he's going to be much of a problem either. All I have to do is make it to my other base, and then I can search this part that I'm going into right now, kind of a trench between the Lost River and Lava Zone, and I should be okay. Well, it turns out that's just me getting a little complacent. The Sea Dragon has since moved into my new lava base, and is heading this way. That was way too close. I'm gonna go look for nickel on the other side of the Lost River. Without the prawn suit, I find it best to search the area around the skull that's being analyzed, just because that seems to give it to you for some reason. I don't know why, and there we go, 3 instantly without really having to search. That's all I need, but I might search for a little bit more just in case I need it for something else. I'd hate to have to swim all the way back over here. Okay, Neptune boosters are done, and the next recipe needs ion power cells. Right. This whole time, I've had 2 extra ion cubes, so I've been thinking that would be enough for the power cells, but I forget that it takes an ion cube to make a battery, and each power cell needs 2 batteries. So I actually need 4 ion cubes, and I just used the last 2 that I had to make 2 batteries. That's gonna be a problem. While I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get the 2 extra ion cubes that I need, I warp over to the lava castle through the quarantine enforcement platform's teleporter. I can grab loose kyanite and crystalline sulfur down here, which is really nice, and this gives me a couple minutes to think about how I'm going to get myself out of this bind. I finally remember that there's actually 1 loose purple tablet I have not yet picked up that I'm aware of. That's the one in the underwater caves beneath the quarantine enforcement platform itself. This tablet is actually really cool. I like that it's down here, and I get it occasionally, so I do remember a route to it that I'm comfortable with. That way I don't get lost in the caves. But that solves one problem. Now I have a tablet, so I don't have to worry about ion cubes to make a tablet. But how am I going to get more ion cubes? Which is the best place to use it to get me those cubes, that way I can finish the game. After doing a little research online, there's actually an alien sanctuary in the Sparse Reef, and I don't know if I've ever been to this one. I don't really make my home in the Sparse Reef. That's actually one of the things I want to do in a different playthrough. I just never have yet. Apparently, it's not far from the wrecks in this little cave in this kind of a crater thing here, which is really cool. I didn't even know this existed. So you come down here and you swim through, go back around, kind of do like a 180-degree turn, and then you go through this left cave and come over to this door here. You do need a purple tablet, but thankfully I have that right now. And when you use the purple tablet, inside the sanctuary are 6 ion cubes. This should be way more than I need for the rest of the game. Finally, I am on track to beat it. I just have to make sure I get to the surface before I drown and not get lost in this cave that I've never been in before. With all of that now complete, the next section of the Neptune rocket is done, and it's just the cockpit that's left. I sure hope I don't have to explore too far for this. Thankfully, I have all the materials I need for the cockpit, so we're getting this thing built, and we are getting off of this planet and completing this run. Well, hopefully anyway. I can't imagine anything catastrophic is gonna happen in the last few seconds of the game, but it's not over until it's over.
Time capsule jettisoned.